trial of Welcome to Sweetie Pies reality star Tim Norman. The jury found Norman guilty on all counts. Argentina Coronel is at the courthouse.
I don't know if everyone knows your name, so if you don't mind saying that at the beginning as well.
Yeah, Mike Leonard trial lawyers in Chicago. On behalf of Mr. Norman, we're extremely surprised and disappointed in the outcome. Obviously, we respect the work of the jury. The jury worked very hard on this case. Our surprise stems from really two factors. Number one, the government really had two-star witnesses in this case, Ms. Ellis and Mr. Hill, who were shown to be on cross-examination extremely non-credible. So we thought that, combined with the fact that Tim testified so extensively at this trial, which is highly unusual for a defendant to get on the stand in these types of cases and testify so well and really be not subject to any cross-examination. For those reasons, we're very surprised and disappointed with the outcome. But we understand the work of the jury. We respect that. But it's with a lot of disappointment that I stand before you here today.
Was there any question of the jury, the makeup of the jury?
No, I mean, we're not making any racial statements about the jury. The jury was made up, selected by our input. Of course, a lot of the individuals on the jury pool had extensive exposure to the show, or extensive exposure to Tim or Andre. So that was a factor in the selection process. There was a lot of jurors who indicated that they were familiar with Tim or Andre the show. So that made it difficult. And I think the viewership of the show is highly skewed towards African Americans. So if you have someone who knows the show and may have already formed opinions or impressions, it's not a race issue, but certainly it's an exposure to them before the trial.
Will you seek an appeal based on that argument?
No. Our appeal will be premised on a lot of legal issues that arose. This case really presented a lot of novel legal issues. As you remember, there were two very significant Fifth Amendment issues. There's an issue about whether Chris Carroll could invoke his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. We know, as you've seen from our filings with the court, that Mr. Carroll was interviewed extensively before the trial. He vehemently denies any meeting ever took place between him and Mr. Hill. We obviously believe that would have been highly significant in anybody evaluating the evidence. And then secondly, Mr. Yangham, who was another linchpin of the government's case, he again would have testified unequivocally that he met with Andre Montgomery. He filled out an insurance application with him. So those two witnesses would have obviously had a giant impact upon this case. Those are legal issues, whether Fifth Amendment rights could be invoked or not. Those will be part of our post-trial motions and part of our appeal. There was also a number, as would be expected of the case of this length and magnitude, a lot of legal issues in terms of admissions of evidence that we objected to. Again, great respect for Judge Ross, but you obviously are going to have differences of opinion about what's relevant, and those, of course, we subjects of our motion practice. That's sometimes a difference of opinion between counsel and a court. No disrespect to Judge Ross, because he's a great one, but there's obviously going to be legal issues about what was admitted and what was not admitted.
Can you talk about Tim's spirits?
Tim's what?
Tim's spirits.
Tim is an amazingly optimistic and strong guy. So he's been in custody for quite a long time already. He had to sit through the deliberations by himself. And he's a very strong person. And so I think he still, despite the verdict, has a lot of optimism that we're going to overcome this and ultimately prevail.
Ago, we learned the verdict in the murder-for-hire trial of Welcome to Sweetie Pies reality star Tim Norman. The jury found Norman guilty on all counts. Argentina Coronel is at the courthouse right now. Look